people support tax increases. How do you combat that?
Well, when they see the details that it hurts job creation, when you know the truth that spending is the culprit of the problem here, that hurts the economy. Tax increases in a recession, which we might go into in a minute here, and we're in a very bad economy already, hurt the economy. The president has much said that during the last recession. So raising taxes on job creators hurts job creation. If you tax something more, like job creation and investment, you get less of it. Do you guys have
a billionaire to respond to his billionaire? I mean, you say, I'll see you a Warren Buffett, and I'll raise you an X. Do you guys have business people
I'm sure
who you are going to be trotting out? I mean, because they're the ones who can respond to Buffett and respond to this game about, well, taxing the rich is going to somehow rescue our economy. Because the business people that I've talked to, and I've featured on the show, Congressman, they say, well, Warren Buffett does not represent most CEOs in this country. So you guys need a list of CEOs that are go-to people who can make this case from a business, not a political perspective. As good as you are, you're not in business. You need somebody who's in business who can bolster your argument.
I can think of dozens here in Wisconsin I've talked to just in the last couple of weeks. You have to remember more than half our jobs in America come from successful small businesses. They pay their taxes as individuals. That means when you say you're going to soak the billionaire, what you're doing is you're taxing that small business where our jobs come from. Under the current law that the president passed in the last Congress, when Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid ran Congress, the top tax rate on these successful small businesses is already going to 44.8%. Well, we live next to Canada here in Wisconsin. They're taxing their businesses at 16%. The rest of the world, on average, taxes their businesses at 25%. And so already we're taxing our successful small businesses in 16 months at 45%, and now the president is suggesting we go up from there. We raise tax rates above that? How on earth are we going to be able to compete and survive in global competition when we tax our job creators, our small businesses, at tax rates so much higher than our foreign competitors are taxing theirs? When we tax ourselves more than they tax themselves, they win, we lose, we don't create jobs. And that's what's happening right now.
Do you think you're going to win the war of ideas with those arguments?
I do. You know why? Because truth always gets through at the end of the day. Look, the president came to us in 2008 on hope, on change, on uniting and not dividing. We're getting nothing but fear, envy, anger, anxiety, divisiveness. And more to the point, when we're not actually tackling the problem, spending, and we just keep saying we're going to keep raising tax rates on job creation, on investment, on successful small businesses, the results prove us right, which is our economy's not growing. Usually when you have a deep recession, you come flying out of it in America. Why aren't we this time? Why are we at stall speed and at risk for going back into a recession? Why are we halfway through a lost decade? And I will tell you, just ask business people. It's because of all of this uncertainty coming to them from Washington. Uncertainty on how much higher their taxes are going to go.
Well, he wants to give you certainty, but he just wants to raise taxes. And this is what he said yesterday at the Rose Garden speech, joined by friends and the teleprompters. That's what he said.
Either we gut education and medical research, or we've got to reform the tax code so that most profitable corporations have to give up tax loopholes that other companies don't get. We can't afford to do both. This is not class warfare. It's math.
Go ahead, your response to that.
Well,
so we can't education and medical research.
I think the president has become a pyromaniac in a field of strawmen. I think what he wants to do is set up those of us on the other side of the aisle as some caricature, assign policies to us we don't have, and then defeat those arguments. It's sort of the idea is to sort of win the argument by default by nullifying the notion that there's an alternative path for America. The path for America is entrepreneurial growth. It's economic freedom. It is private sector job creation, not picking winners and losers in Washington through subsidies, through regulations, through tax preferences. Solyndra economics gets us bankruptcy. But growing the private sector by setting the conditions for economic growth, by having a fair, simple, competitive tax system is how we grow our economy. The president's proposing 219 new regulations that will cost the economy each over $100 million. That means he's proposing to hit the economy this year with with $100 million plus regulations 219 times. So all of this uncertainty about how much higher businesses' tax rates are going to go, how much more of these new regulations are going to cost them, is putting a chilling effect on hiring, on investment, on job creation. And it's trying to channel economic decision-making through Washington instead of through small businesses.
Well, how are you guys going to respond to all this union strength? I understand the president and his team are going to have tens of thousands of union folks descending on Washington, and they are going to be camped out encircling the Capitol, pushing what they're calling, of course, the Do-Nothing Congress, to pass this plan. And you said there's the stimulus plan. Stimulus 2 is now there, but we don't have any real legislation for the tax increase yet, despite the president's pen comment. How do you respond to the unions? You saw what happened to Governor Walker when he responded to the unions. He's still fighting. Yeah, well, he's still fighting it and fighting the good fight. But nevertheless, they're very powerful and they're extremely well funded. And whether we have the economic arguments on the side of the conservative ledger, that's for sure. But they have strength, enthusiasm, and a lot of money. How are Republicans going to respond to that?
By sticking to our principles and communicating clearly about who we are, what we believe in, what we want to do, and by acting on the right policies. That's exactly what we've done. That's what we're going to continue to do. Look, they dumped almost $30 million in the summer here in Wisconsin to try and take back the state Senate, and they failed. It didn't work. So we have a little bit of experience in my backyard here of how this goes. The point I would simply make is stimulus doesn't work. It's already failed. So why on earth would we want to pass ideas that have proven to fail? Let's go with ideas that have proven to work. Tax reform has proven to work. Cleaning up the tax system and lowering tax rates for everybody have proven to work. Getting us a more internationally competitive system so American businesses and manufacturers can be more competitive with our foreign competitors works. Right. Getting the debt under control works. And so, yes, there's going to be intimidation, lots of money dumped in here, but guess what, Laura? This plan is already unpopular. People already...
Is it DOA? Is this plan DOA? Is this DOA?
Borrowing, spending, bailing out states' governments doesn't work, and so, yes, that's DOA. But if the president wants to work with us on fundamental tax reform, on trade agreements like he mentioned, fantastic. Let's move with those ideas. What's interesting is the things that he said in his speech that we agree with never made it into the proposal that he actually sent.
Of course not, because he doesn't care about that. He cares about getting reelected. Congressman, what about the Social Security description of Rick Perry, calling it a Ponzi scheme? Are you closer to what he has to say on that or closer to Romney's stance on that?
Well, Mitt Romney also, I think, said that the management of the program was a criminal enterprise. Look, there are three facts about Social Security that everybody agrees with. Number one, it's a very critical program that millions of people depend on. Number two, if nothing is done, there are across-the-board cuts that automatically kick in under current law for current seniors. And number three, if nothing is done, the next generation receives a bankrupt program.
So the answer is neither of them are close to what you have to say.
No, they're both right, I would say, which is it is not working. It is going bankrupt. And current seniors will be jeopardized the most by the status quo. And so if you take a look at the technicality of Ponzi, it's not a criminal enterprise, but it's a pay-as-you-go system where, earlier investors or, say, taxpayers get a positive rate of return.
It's a Ponzi scheme.
And the most recent investors or taxpayers get a negative rate of return. Your kids and my kids, Laura, who are the same age, are going to get about a negative 1%.
It's Madoff
on their payroll taxes if Social Security could even pay them their benefit, which it can't. And so it is obviously that is how those schemes work. The whole point is, unless you fix this problem, it's going to get much worse. And so truth tellers, honest people, leaders, face the facts, tell the truth, and propose solutions, and that's exactly what we're doing.
Do you think that it's important to have business experience to be the next president of the United States, running a business, knowing how businesses grow? Do you think that's important, specifically running a business?
Well, I think it's important to respect and understand what it takes to run a business. If you're trying to get me to dissect this presidential field, I would just simply say what matters is the principles that a person believes in. Do you believe that it's the private sector that creates jobs, or do you believe that it's the government that creates jobs? Do you believe in the American idea, exceptionalism, an opportunity society with a safety net, or do you believe in a
well, they all believe that.
Welfare
they all
state
believe that.
What's that?
They all believe that. Herman Cain believes that. Michelle Bachmann believes that. I mean, they all believe that.
So you got Herman Cain and Mitt Romney who have business experience, and the other guys who don't, but they're all believe in the free market.